A number of you've asked many times about seeing stuff that I've done in the past. Here I got a 57 Savoy, Plymouth Savoy, that was dropped off to me. The car was in really good shape on the outside. Doors were good, trunk was good, even the trunk floor was good. But the floors in this car were gone and the firewall was bad as well. Was not much to save in the floors. The whole works from rocker to rocker, from the kick panel on the firewall all the way back into the trunk section. Everything was gone. Looking closely at how this car was built from original, I started sizing up the cross members that were in the car and decided I'm going to make cross members for this car. A lot of people sit down, will box this up and pick up some square stock or some angle iron and frame everything out. No, I wanted to put cross members back in this car, so I decided to make cross members to look like the factory ones. What I used for this build was a lot of recycled metal that I picked up a few years prior to this. This is 18 gauge and I just used my little metal brake and I bent up some shapes that look close to what the factory were. All this was just made out of recycled metal with a little homemade bender. Here you can see one all pieced together, and you can see that it was just very simple. All I did is I just welded a bunch of box sections together. The middle now was a bit tricky. I turned around, I had to make that out of 3 or 4 sections to get the drive shaft loop set up. Here you see all the sections that I made up. The seat sections and the front section that went up inside the transmission tunnel, and then the sections that went out in the back as well. Sections of the inner rockers were gone as well. I had to replace them using the same metal, all 18 gauge. Then I welded in all the cross members, and you can see that I had to duplicate a transmission tunnel that actually had to be mounted halfway in the car because the loop didn't go right up around in the front. The transmission tunnel itself was part of the cross member. Now for the transmission tunnel front section on the firewall, I had another job that I was doing that I had to replace a firewall on a 68 Firebird. What I did is I took the transmission section from the old firewall section that I removed from the Firebird and I used it in this project here. That way I had the nice rolls that would flow inside the car. Floors in this car were pretty simple. There was no inlays or drops or anything like that. It was basically just a flat floor pan. I made up simple little panels and I went and drilled out the holes for spot welds and made some simple beads of my own design, nothing fancy. I prefer the spot weld panels in, drilling holes and filling in spot welds. I don't like solid welding pans in the cars. It looks cleaner when it's all said and done. There's nothing wrong with building floor pans in sections. As you can see here, I built this in a number of sections. Just so to make life a lot easier, you can see that the pieces were put in and all were spot welded in. You can see where the floor pans joined other floor pans. There was a little bend I put in the pan itself just to give it strength. You see this a lot in factory setups. So this here was just basically one way of making the floor stronger without having to add any braces. And here you see the finished product. Everything has been spot welded in, all the welds have been grinded off, everything's been pieced together. It's amazing how strong this floor was when it was all welded together. You don't realize that when you weld metal together like this, the strength comes in when it's all welded together and not when it's all just in one piece. So this floor was pretty strong. If you look closely, you can see the Firebird transmission tunnel right up front. But this is basically it. This is how I built this floor section, and it's how I've done many a floor section over the years. I figured you guys would enjoy this because it's a different way of doing floor pans than what I've seen on the internet. So I'm going to be getting started on Crusty soon, and this is much the same way I'm going to be doing the floors in Crusty. And until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.